Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so I will ask for public comment, please. We're just 2 minutes after. Go ahead, Cheryl, come on up. Welcome.
Okay.
There's a big note here to us that says, please speak up, thank you. So please speak up, thank you.
On the agenda, I see an item that says auction former country club equipment and other items. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that there is a survey that is being made this time that is going out to kind of get a feel from the community, which way they'd like to go regarding the country club. And I'm just wondering, I'm not a golfer, I know very little about it, but why, if in fact the town is considering selling off additional equipment. Now, I don't know if that's big equipment, heavy duty. I know they got rid of things before and they got rid of furnishings, but things that, there are things that I think you use to play golf that don't go out of style or don't have to get updated. And I'm wondering, would it not be a good idea to wait until the survey comes back to have an idea of what people are thinking they would like to do and the use that perhaps the golf course could be? I mean, maybe it would be a golf course again, who knows? But would it make sense to hang on to this stuff just so you wouldn't have to go out and perhaps buy new, depending on how the survey goes, people think? So just by looking at that, I thought, maybe we're putting the cart in front of the horse right now, and we should wait. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. Thank you.
He's not here yet. Adam Parsons, who will come and describe the items to the board. So if they have any questions about it, so stay tuned. We told him to come a little bit, so we will probably jump to that item as soon as he gets here.
Okay,
so if you want to hang out. Okay, you can hear all about it.
And the other thing is, I'm just curious, maybe during the meeting or after the meeting, an update on what's happening with the shelter, whether was an award.
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. It's in my report if you stay tuned longer, but not
really
much.
Tempting.
Yeah, I know. Fun stuff here. Hi, Amy.
Good evening. Amy Morella, 184 Rimmon Road. I came to speak to you about the Fitzgerald track. One of the issues I know that's pending there is a proposal to put a dog park there. I did speak out at the COOPOP meeting in October against putting a dog park or really any permanent recreational facility at Fitzgerald because of its unique character. And I'd like to give my letter to COOPOP, also to the Board of Selectmen, if you would make copies. But I'm also wanted to talk more broadly about the Fitzgerald track. You may have noticed that UI cut down a bunch of trees along Center Road. As somebody who walks there just about every day, I can tell you that significantly impinges the pleasure of walking along that stretch of track. And I would urge you in your budget preparations, which you are already starting, to plan to put some new plantings there. Not trees, because then we'll just end up with the same problem, but I'm sure there's a variety of bushes, tallish things that could be put there over time and make it a lot more pleasant. So please do consider that. And the other request is that you put some money into really restoring the trails to what they used to be. They've been in existence since the 1990s. There are places where the base is coming up already and is visible. There's other places where you're basically walking on mud, wet weather, not stone dust. So I'm sure Adam Parsons, as well as the original specs, can advise you on what needs to be done. But they are degraded, and I think the time has come to do more than just annual maintenance, but to actually do some sort of restoration to the quality of trails. So one other thing I just wanted to mention is that what I haven't addressed with respect to a dog park anywhere in town is liability, because I feel that that is something that the selectmen need to come to agreement on in consultation with council and anybody else who weighs in. Just as a matter of history, when the idea came up to the Board of Selectmen when I was serving as a selectman, it was the unanimous feeling that we should not put in a but I will leave that up to you all, assessing the current state of the law. If you were to put in a dog park, I have heard mention of putting them at the existing country club tennis courts. And certainly for an immediate place that could pretty easily be put a dog park, chain link fence there is appropriate. There's parking there. There aren't people there. It seems to me much planned. So very much worth investigating if you want to move forward instead of Gerald. Much. Can I give this? Or can I just? Or can I pick up? Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Thank you. Calling Superintendent Gilbert. Thank you. A little bit late, sorry.
Yeah, I learned a lot more about radios than I
Yeah,
ever did before. So that's a good thing.
Me too.
Never heard about that. Can never hurt. Good to see all of you, and hope you're having a good fall. And the weather has changed, so it feels more like winter, I think, this week than anything. It's always a pleasure to come here and tell you a little bit about what's going on at Beecher. So I'll just give you sort of the highlights. Enrollment continues to go north. Last I reported to you, we were about 831 in our enrollment. We are now at 836. That sort of is current, and it's also consistent with what we're expecting. And also we've received some projections from our demographer in terms of planning for budget and planning for future, and concurring that future enrollment growth is still very much in our future. So you know that. Yesterday was a learning day for teachers and staff. There was no school for students. Election day typically around the state for most districts is a teacher professional development, professional learning day. So our teachers were engaged with a full day of their various learning activities, differentiated by grade level or by departments. Some of it was done with the full faculty together, and it was a very beneficial day. So that took place yesterday. Going back a couple weeks ago, we had a very successful Halloween hoot. Some of you may have been there, and I think, Beth, you were there. We were there together doing some things. You didn't go in the dunk booth, and neither did I.
I refused.
I avoided the dunk booth because
going to the dunk tank.
Well, the dunk tank, it was a good day for the dunk tank, but as I was about to go down the hallway to get changed, the fire alarm went off. And so we all had to evacuate the building. So
Several times, I think.
So darn it, I didn't pull it,
Too
but I
bad.
didn't have to go in the dunk tank either. So, but at any rate, it was a great day and a great fundraiser. And it's just another example of a PTO that's very supportive, and around $16,000 raised, and that money goes to do a lot of things that we can't do in our normal budget. So appreciate the PTO and all the parents and staff rallying around, and people from town who don't have kids in the schools coming as well. You've probably heard, but if you haven't, the Board of Ed's SRO ad hoc committee did complete all their meetings, activities, and brought together a final report and also a final recommendation that they offered to the Board of Education. As you know, this was a committee made up of many stakeholders, parents, staff, Board of Ed. We had Board of Finance representation. We had lots of people. We had the police commission, the police chief, so on and so forth. Many forums were held, and also a survey was conducted. And the overall recommendation, after a lot of deliberation by the committee, the recommendation made to the Board of Ed at their October meeting from the committee was to maintain the SRO as it is for next year, and to have a portion of the costs of that offset by contributions from the summer programs, because the SRO currently does operate it has a presence during the summer programs as well. So that was the recommendation provided and received, and we'll be moving forward in our process to include that in next year. I want to change a little bit of direction here and offer some congratulations to the full Woodbridge Board. They were recently named a Level 1 CABE Board Leader Award. This is the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, and so they put forward their profile of the activities that the board has been doing during the course of the year, and they were honored with an award, and that award will be presented to those of us in attendance at the convention later this month. Also, CABE presents different awards and recognitions to schools in terms of different categories, and I want to just congratulate Mrs. Prisco, our principal, and Mrs. Sherman, our assistant principal. They put out an electronic principal's newsletter, and this was recognized by CABE under the category of going green, not having all that wasted paper and all those trees being cut down. So, a nice recognition for the board and for our school administrators. This coming Friday is Veterans Day, a very, very important day in the life of our school, and many years ago, Veterans Day would be a day off, but no longer, because it's an important day to be in the school to recognize very important people in our lives and in our country and in our community. So we will be having an all-school assembly, as we typically do, at 9 o'clock in the morning. We were going to have it outside, but it's going to be really cold this Friday morning, so we're going to have it indoors. We've moved it indoors to the South Gym. I think all of you received an invitation. I know you have busy schedules, but you're still very welcome to come. If you can come on Friday at 9 o'clock, you're very welcome. We'll be thinking of you if you can't be there, but we will be honoring many veterans from around the town, as well as veterans who are parents, grandparents, other family members who have been invited. We'll be having a keynote speaker, which is our own Officer Lynch, who's a veteran. And our band and chorus will be providing music, and we'll be having some other appropriate grade level activities during the course of the day for students to really understand, recognize, and to internalize what is Veterans Day all about and the importance of that day. Our board subcommittees are very busy. Our policy board committee is working on an attendance policy. Our curriculum subcommittee will be hearing a presentation about Writer's Workshop tomorrow at 4:30. These are open meetings, of course, to the public. Our facilities subcommittee recently took a tour of the outside of the school and on the grounds, and just taking a look and determining and really taking in what might be other future priority areas to be good stewards of the building and the grounds as we move forward into future years. Our finance subcommittee is obviously getting ready to really work hard on hearing my thoughts and sharing thoughts and having conversation about the FY19 budget, which we're constructing. We're also preparing for some contract negotiations with our bus vendors, as well as secretaries and custodians. Getting to the end here, our current budget status for the current fiscal year. As you know, last month I brought to you a deficit at that point of $338,000, due mostly to unanticipated health insurance cost increases, as well as unanticipated out-of-district costs for students. This has changed, and it's changed to the favorable, which is good news. I think you may have already know this, but it's now our deficit is now down to $160,000, from $338 down to $160, largely due to many favorable census changes in health insurance, as our health insurance company has informed us. It's usually a few months, going forward. It takes a few months to catch up. There are many changes amongst our faculty and staff in terms of moving from more expensive plans where it's, a family plan down to either a two-person or down to one person. So we were very glad to hear about that and that change in our budget status for the current year. And that's my report for tonight. Good to be here. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thanks for coming. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the first select report. I've moved it up to the beginning to hopefully keep people having to sit for a whole meeting to find out what I'm up to. So, see you stayed. Thank you. There's a few items I'd like to address in my report this evening. I'll be brief. Last month it was here's Adam. Good. Did I go through? Yeah. Okay, and then we'll go to that item. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to make you wait too long, Adam. Thank you. I'm going to be brief tonight, and we're coming off a very active month and heading into our prime budget setting activities at the end of this month, and we'll be very busy. All of us get to know each other real well. I want to thank Superintendent Gilbert, who just left, for his communication with us about the SRO committee at Beecher. We can all agree that public safety and education are two of our highest priorities in a town, but I want to emphasize the role of both Woodbridge Board of Education and the Board of Police Commissioners in this decision. While the SRO presence at Beecher has dimensions of educational benefits as well as policing benefits, as the Board of Selectmen, we must rely on the careful evaluation and subject matter expertise these two boards bring to bear on this subject. I'm looking forward to the decision, which will ultimately be made by the Board of Education. Now to briefly review some of the activities I participated in during the month of October and our wonderful Fallapalooza season. Wow. On October 14th, Joe Crisco and I helped judging Woodbridge District Animal Control Pets Costume Contest at Blue Check Deli. Harry was there as a participant. Your dog got an award, I guess, right? I remember. Yep. On October 27th, I stopped in at Frightening Final Friday at the New England Brewing Company. On the 21st, I served food for a couple of hours at Beecher's PTO Halloween Hoot. It was very busy. On October 28th, I went to the Pampered Pinkin fundraising event at Progression Salon. And then on Halloween evening, I participated in the Woodbridge Volunteer Fire Association's Truck or Treat and Spooktacular Fireworks, along with so many families. It was hard to get an accurate count, but it was by far the most well-attended event. It was such a nice way for our town to come together to celebrate Halloween in fun and safety. Many thanks to the volunteer firefighters and their families for all their efforts. I thought about this afterward. Norman Rockwell might have been inspired to do a painting if he had been with us there. It was just a wonderful evening about our town. In addition to these Fallapalooza events, I also took part in several other community gatherings since my last report. Handbag bingo at the JCC. There was a pancake breakfast in support of Logan Testa, a young man struggling with cancer, generally hosted by the Volunteer Fire Association. I attended the Amity Hall of Fame and Hall of Honor induction ceremony, where two Woodbridge residents were honored, Scott Feinberg and Scott Savitt. You were in the program as a recipient at one point, Joe. They listed all of them. Congratulations. I saw your name there. I took an sorry, that isn't in my notes. I just had to say it. I took an informal tour of the Chestnut Tree Grove on the Fitzgerald Fitness Track with members of my staff, and also met with Brian Pines and Cynthia Anger, members of the Land Trust Board of Directors, who are, of course, overseeing the Chestnut Tree project. I also attended a lovely baby shower for our library director, Eric Worthman. He and his wife are expecting any day now. I also took part in a visit by Deputy Secretary of the State, Scott Bates, who was meeting with town clerks and registrars of voters around the state to hear from them directly on how he and Secretary of State Denise Merrill can streamline and improve their services to towns. And most recently, this past weekend, swinging through the stacks, where I played a game of mini golf with my fellow Board of Selectmen members, David Lober and Miko Cardozo. We had fun, didn't we? As well as the Senior Center's Harvest and Holly Fair on Saturday, and the Amity Historical Tavern Night at Darling House, which was lovely, Amy, wasn't it? It was really wonderful. Cold, but it was nice. All of these wonderful examples of our community in action, and I really thank everyone involved for all their efforts. There was no fire commission meeting in October, so I don't have an update, but I did attend the radio committee meeting, and we've heard all about this evening. And we also had a meeting of the Animal Shelter Building Committee, which I chair. We're currently still evaluating construction costs and the grant and funding options available. So we're not ready to choose we need more funding. What? Okay. No, at this point, they're holding us. So they're holding the bids.
Correct.
At this point, they are holding the bids. Just to answer the question, Pua, you couldn't hear the question?
Couldn't hear the answer.
Oh, okay. Want me to say it again? The question was related to the grant opportunity, the bids that we received, and at this point, the lowest bidder has agreed to hold the bid. So we're looking into fundraising efforts at this point to catch up. Okay. In addition to these, you can call me tomorrow if you have other questions. Oh, yeah. Oh, the steep grant.
Steep
Yes.
grant. There
Okay.
is, but we have not. It's not at a point where it's critical. Yeah.
We did connect water. Right. We did the water part of it already through the steep grant, but it hasn't been connected to the building yet. So that may be something we do before winter. We're bits and pieces.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. In addition to these events, I also had a lunch meeting with Regional Water Authority President Larry Bingham. Had a few meetings to discuss the ideas involved in a proposal coming from the Connecticut Economic Resource Center, also known as CERC. And that hopefully you're going to hear about next month. And the good news is, we have this issue, as Tony talked about, our debt, our grand list. we really have got to revitalize our economic development and try to get businesses, because we're hurting in that area. We need to catch up. So hopefully you guys we're scheduling the proposal from them to the December 13th Board of Selectmen meeting. And we'll hear more on economic development initiatives and other items as we move closer to our budget development meetings. And I welcome, as always, everyone's input, as well as that of the general public. So please continue to be in touch with me. That's my report. Thank you. And now, if it's okay with everyone, I would entertain a motion to skip, because Adam is here, to skip to item 6E, auction of former CCW equipment and other items. And in your packet, you can switch to that, is a list of the items.
So move second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do the motion, sorry. I'm so excited to get Adam. Okay. Okay. We have a motion first, second? Thank you.
Made the motion.
Okay, thank you.
So now we can.
All in favor? Okay, thanks. Thank you. I'm getting better every meeting, a little bit less crazy.
Well, I've been asked to put together a list on what is in the storage facility or the maintenance facility at the golf course, or once golf course. And I guess you guys have that in front of you? All of you have that?
It's in our packet. I actually emailed it out to Stephanie, and this, she couldn't be here.
This is basically what's left in those storage buildings. And going forward with this list, we'd like to also get you, why I'm here, to get your approval on letting this stuff go to an auction at the Public Works Department in the town of Orange, like we did prior with several other pieces of equipment. We did it last year. There really isn't that much left over there, and some of the stuff that's on this, most of the stuff that's on this list, is the equipment-wise, is pretty old. So if you have any questions on, if we'd like to go over some of this stuff on one by one, if you have any questions,
There was a question raised just in terms of selling equipment that could potentially be used if the town determined it was going to retain it, or there was a proposal that would retain this as a golf course and then having to go out and buy it and buy new stuff. So I'm just curious as to the condition of it, if you could speak to that just for make it official in terms of whether it's reusable, whether it's something we could store and save, or...
It's all reusable, but it's lived its life expectancy on some of these pieces of equipment. They're 5 years old. It's going on its 6th year next year. Right now, the fairway mower, that's the 2 fairway mowers that are sitting over there. They definitely have some serious issues. If you had to refurbish them, I mean, there's a hydraulic leak on one of them. The radiator is leaking on one of them. They both have electrical problems. I can't even start them to get it on a trailer or to move it 20 feet. The rollers are shot. The bearings are shot. The reels are shot. The mice are having a field day with eating the seat. The hoses are, everything's becoming deteriorated because the grass clippings that have been sitting on that for over the years in that damp building is wreaking havoc on those pieces of equipment. So you're not talking very much money here. Yes, somebody might want it, but whoever takes that or purchases that is going to have to put some money into them. And it's a lot of money. Radiator and a hydraulic pump leak is not cheap to fix. So you're talking thousands of dollars. So we made, I think, $75,000 on the equipment that we sold to Orange.
Yeah.
Not sold to Orange, but at the auction at Orange. So we're talking the Greens King right off the top of the bat. That's a greens mower or a T mower. Has about 1,800 hours on it, and that needs a lot of work. So you're probably putting like $4,000 or $5,000 in a piece of equipment like that to make it just runnable, and that doesn't guarantee anything because it's still getting old. So with most of this equipment, it's time to say goodbye to it, or if you want to hold on to it, I don't know how long it's going to sit there. It's going to become a golf course again. So who knows? That could sit there for years, and every year you let that sit there, it's going to depreciate fast. It's like buying a car. As soon as you drive it out of the parking lot, price goes down. My opinion is to take it to Orange and put it on the auction table and get rid of it. Now, not just the equipment, this chemical storage shed, you know, we don't need town of Woodbridge doesn't need a chemical storage shed. We don't have chemicals to store, and it's over 22 years old at that facility now. The ball washers are old, the flag sticks are old, the cups changers are old, everything on here is old. Somebody might use it. You know, I talked to my brother-in-law who owns a golf course, and he has a fairway mower just like that. And I asked him how many hours were on it, and he said, "That's the worst machine ever. I was sitting out in the back in the weeds." Same fairway mower. So I think we should say goodbye to this stuff, personally. I want to hear what you guys think, other than what I think. It's just my opinion.
The one item I'll mention to myself personally is just the benches. Seems as if we don't do something specific, that's something that could be used.
The tennis court benches?
I'm not sure what benches they are.
They're tennis
there's
court
in here.
benches. Those have been there since I've been playing golf there in high school. They're old, they're warped, there's splinters in them. Personally, I wouldn't sit on them.
I'm sorry, I thought I saw a couple of them that were metal and
The metal benches? No, I think they're plastic. The tennis court benches?
these.
Tennis court benches, they're plastic.
Thank you.
I mean, they've been there since I played high school golf.
Yeah, they do look metal.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them has where somebody got mad and smashed a tennis racket into it and smashed it. There's two cooler stands there that they might be worth $15, like on a tag sale. You know, they're rusted. They need to be, you know, power sandblasted and painted. We have the same seats down at our tennis courts, and our tennis courts are not that old, and they're an issue with splinters and some breakage on some of them. So these are old.
Usually when we sell items, we get bids in, we get approval to sell them, and then we sell them. Because this is an auction, we're looking for approval beforehand so we can sell them right at the auction.
Does anyone have any thoughts on any items they want to not sell, or do we want to do it all as a group, or what's your pleasure?
Sorry, I'm just. If we were to buy the golf course, say, and reopen it as a golf course, we're not doing it as a town. We decided we didn't want to pursue that, so the town itself is going to operate it. An outside entity is going to come and buy the club and operate it. They're going to have their equipment. Why are we holding on to old equipment that's not?
Yes?
Well, I wonder what the selling this now. Is it because they're having an auction?
Because they have an
this
auction
year?
every year at the
Correct.
same time.
Has that always come up?
Yes.
I got a call today from Phyllis Janelle. And she said that the flags on the greens tell her where she is on the country club. They act as kind of a map, which I hadn't thought about before. Some of this equipment obviously is it's not worth it to fix some of the mowers and the other equipment, the mechanical equipment. Some of the other stuff, it's worth nothing to sell. Why don't we just hold on to it? We have the storage for it.
Well, you got where it's stored over there. There's mice that are tearing it apart. There's moisture in there. I mean, it's just becoming be worth it to sell it to make the money. Maybe put it into general fund or put it towards the golf course for maintenance on the golf course. That's the way I look at it.
That Butler building, they said that's leaking.
Leaking. It's like when it rains inside the building.
Is that repairable?
I'm not.
Well, see, the reason
You could probably repair it, but
well,
the whole shell of the building is in trouble. Especially the roof and the sides are rotting away. The wind is blowing through it. The snow collects in it.
Is that where things are being stored in that Butler building?
Not all of it. Not all of it.
Not
The
all.
fairway mowers, we can't even move them. We have to put a chain on and drag them out.
They in the Butler building?
They are in the Butler. They're away from where it's actually raining in the corner of the building, or actually the east side of the whole building is soaking wet. Matter of fact, one of the fairway mowers we had it at the auction last year, and it didn't sell. Nobody wanted it.
See, there was a thought by the recreation department, put an ice skating rink up, and having a building to put it in would solve a lot of problems for them. Now,
Sure.
would the Butler building fit that?
It would fit it, but it would cost too much money to repair it. We have two other buildings that are next to it that have a new roof on it. Both of them have a new roof on it. One is a couple of years old. The other one, I think, is 4 or 5 years old. And those are good buildings.
Those could be used for that.
The
Definitely.
Butler building's only 50 feet by
100 feet, yeah.
It's a big building, though.
Yeah, but that's not much of it.
That's the one where the equipment is stored, where the insulation is coming out of the sides.
It
Yeah,
is.
that building looks like it's pretty shot.
It is.
But there's a slab underneath it?
There is.
There is.
Yeah.
If you take the building off, do you have to protect the slab from deterioration, or can you just leave it out?
I just leave it there.
Leave it there?
Sure. It's not hurting anybody.
The cements.
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks,
And
Adam.
thanks so much for hanging out and coming out on a cold night. At least it's not pouring like it was last night.
No, it's not that cold yet.
Awful. Okay.
Take care, everybody.
So
Thanks, Adam.
I mean,
can we do the motion now? as
I
part
would
of
be
this?
inclined to hold on to the non-mechanical thing
Okay.
if you have storage. The mowing equipment is obviously beyond its useful
Okay.
life.
Do you want to make that motion? We'll sell, you have to list which items you want to take out, and then we'll have a second, and then we'll all decide whether we want to do that. If you won't get a second, maybe you will, and then we'll go, it's up to you.
Okay, A through F should be sold. The tennis court groomer. Is that worthwhile keeping?
There's some, I think there's someone interested in that, actually.
The irrigation pump is shot.
There's somebody interested
Butler
in the
building.
tennis
Yeah,
court
there is.
groomer.
Not, we actually heard some interest from another tennis group in Woodbridge who was interested in the tennis court groomer who wants to buy it, so. We're not using the tennis courts over there, but that's up to you. You want to take it out?
Does rec want to use the tennis courts in conjunction
No.
with the pool next year?
No, we asked them.
They don't?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, I would keep G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and Q, S, and the coolest, I know what the coolest stands are.
I don't think it affects us one way or another, David, but what for? You know, I mean, really, it's
Just in case, I guess.
but just in case what?
Just in case.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't cost anything to keep, and it's not worth anything to sell.
Well, actually, those are the items that I would think would be worth to sell based on what he was saying, but I don't know that we'd get a lot of money for it, so. One way or another, don't get me wrong, I'm just
Yeah.
actually just asking, I'm
No, I think.
wondering what benefit we
Well, I
could.
think those are not going to deteriorate. I know the rec department was thinking of running a driving range at some point,
Mhm.
and putting green at some point. I mean, some of this might be useful. The flags, as I mentioned before.
Mhm.
I think we checked with rec and they didn't,
Not at this point.
not at this point, they didn't want any of it.
Not at this point.
Okay,
The
so
thought of
you're,
the flat stick in terms of just putting it on where the greens are, something like that, I think just to reminisce about it, golf courses where people are walking is, I mean, I don't think that's a big deal to
Right.
keep it. I understand what you're saying.
Well, do you think we should get rid of all this stuff? Bunker rates and all that stuff?
Well, Gary's point, it just seems as if we make this, if there's any decision made as relates to a golf course, it's very unlikely or probably not going to happen that the town is engaged in part of that from a maintenance standpoint. So that's the reason I say I feel like if we were thinking of doing something maybe, because it might save us some money or just be able to be reused. Again, the flag sticks, if they're looking at my feeling is, okay, flag sticks, if they're looking to put a driving range, you do need markers. and that could be used for that.
Yep.
You know, if they wanted to put a sand trap in for practice or something like that, you could use a rake or two, but
We do that though at the country club right now with people walking and.
I know that from,
We made a motion, no more golf at the golf course, right? We couldn't do that right now, right?
No,
well, that's
We could
significant.
revisit it,
Not
but,
unless it was part of a plan we had
yeah,
over and above the plan we have now.
exactly.
Well, we don't have a plan, we don't have a plan now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if part of the plan was to do some of those things, then we could do it.
But-
Now you
but
can't
we
do
do
it.
not, correct.
You can't go on there.
Okay, so, your motion is to,
I would like to keep the non-mechanical things.
okay, so that's GHIJKL,
M.
M,
And S.
and S. Two S's.
And
okay.
Q.
And Q
And the
too.
ball washing machine.
Okay.
Would that be
Which
useful if
S?
there was a driver?
There's two S's, the benches and the cooler stands?
I don't know what the cooler stands are.
They're in the corner of the picture.
Yeah.
Look at the picture right there. In the corner there. Take a look at the upper right-hand corner. With
It
the,
looked like circular.
yeah, the same picture as the benches.
Oh,
The round cooler,
yeah.
coolers sit on top.
I mean, those could be used on tennis sports too. Those are for holding those big,
Yeah.
Gatorade.
Gatorade, yeah.
what's that?
Like the Gatorade buckets.
Yeah.
You can use some.
So I'll ask if there's a second to David's motion. That is, okay.
So-
You tried, okay.
did.
Thank you. And I will now entertain a motion to sell items A through SS, as listed on the golf course equipment for sale. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay, back to the agenda. Next item on the agenda is item 5, adopt the resolution for the Small Cities Grant, and I just need a second here to get through it. Apologies. Okay.
We're gonna skip liaison. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I forgot, I'm having a night.
I was doing this.
No, I need a cattle prod. Somebody to zap me when I'm doing this wrong. I'm sorry. Okay. Liaison reports. Joe,
No, I have none.
thank you. David.
I have.
Uh-huh.
And I did pare it down. It's still lengthy. Human Services. There's a desire to have the board vote on the resolution that we're about to vote on.
Okay.
To accept the State Department of Housing grant. I have a letter here from Sharon Bender requesting $100,000 for fiscal year 2019, another $100,000 for fiscal year 2020 for center renovation if the steep grant doesn't come through. And I'll give that to Tony.
Is that going to go in her capital?
Well, is she going to present that?
It's in the Human Services Capital Plan.
Right.
Okay,
as a-
so it's just a
Yeah,
support letter?
This is a support letter,
Okay,
right.
Thank
okay.
you. Okay, so we'll all get that once we get our capital budget books.
Okay. Bethany has agreed to pay its share for the youth evening program, which it hadn't been doing previously. Holiday fare netted $6,000, which is pretty good. And the rest of that. Hoop-hop. There was a large turnout for public comment at Hoop-hop about the dog park. The first person to speak was Cindy Anger from the Land Trust, and she brought up some interesting things. They manage the Chestnut Park, and this project has a life, an ongoing life of 2 to 5 years more. The trees and the nuts belong to the Chestnut Foundation, not to the Land Trust. They own the fence. And the Woodbridge Land Trust is required to maintain insurance for this project. So they want to make sure that these trees will not be violated by dogs, that there's a dog park there. So they don't want the dogs digging at the roots, and they don't want the dogs urinating on the trees. So that has to be addressed. That's number one. Most of the comments were strongly in favor of the leash law. Most of the comments were strongly in favor of the dog park, but many noted that the new leash law in place prevents their dogs from running free. and others spoke about the need for education for people involved in the dog park. Amy Morella, who presented her letter, questioned the location of the Fitzgerald property. She cited parking as a problem, disturbance of the tranquility, attracting other users from other towns, and she also said that it might prompt additional requests for other special uses for that property. And then there was also an item about benches and markers, and CUPOP is going to write a document informing interested parties that the Board of Selectmen has the final vote on approval, and she's going to distribute that to the Parks Department and the public and the Woodbridge Parks Association, so that they can have a document to hand out to people when they make their request. And they are also streamlining the application down to one page for people who request monuments and markers.
I went to the Amity Board of Ed on the 16th, and one of the nice things I got to witness was the recognition of the high school national merit scholars. There were quite a few of them, several dozen. So that was great, and we had a wonderful presentation by the student representative, Ananya Kachru, I believe her name was, talking about all the wonderful things that they're doing, all the activities going on. Right now, their Board of Ed's in negotiation with the teachers, and they're looking to wrap that up in December. And the superintendent is working with Beth and the other towns on the budget. So,
Thank you.
what's the step?
Good.
Yes, I attended 2 meetings of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Their main mission presently is to review the regulations and see whether it has to be enough. As far as action items, at the last meeting, they renewed a permit to have an office, business office in their home, and also a definition of structures for the roof.
Thank you.
I attended the the Recreation Department and the Economic Development Commission meetings. Park and Recreation Department had the had public comment was exclusively toward the dog park, and there was some questions by two of the leaders of the organization that's pursuing that as relates to the involvement or the potential involvement of the Recreation Department in the dog park. They heard the comments from the public, but did not take any action. There was no real action to be taken. It was more just to get input for consideration at a later time. Aside from that, we had the normal meeting, which would be the normal review of the economics and things of that nature. They're working on the budget. Number of activities that are going on at this point in time that are addressed in their minutes. And on the EDC side, we began with the discussion on the budget for the coming year and how the process that they would use and what they needed, and they voted on some things from that perspective. They also reviewed what you were working on with the Regional Economic Council, and there was discussion on that and the fact that as a commission, there's more work that needs to be done in terms of bringing businesses, and we're thinking of new ideas. I'd like to talk to them. Tomorrow's another meeting, and I'd like to talk to them about specific plans along those lines, and I welcome any input that the board members here would have from that perspective, because they understand that their mission is going to be critical in the coming year, and they could certainly use any assistance along those lines, and they're open to it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to item 5. Adopt a resolution for Small Cities Grant related to a senior center lavatory. And we have in our packet the resolution for use of the program income. And I'm going to ask for a motion. I've been instructed that it's okay to do so by council, to ask for a motion to waive the reading of the resolution and to ask Mrs. Shaw to make the entire resolution part of the permanent record. So I will ask for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor? Okay, thank you. So we will waive the reading. And now we need a motion to adopt the resolution, correct? I'll make the motion that we adopt the resolution for the use of program income. And is there any discussion on it? Well,
We want to explain just generally what it is? Or did we do that
Sure.
already?
I can do that.
okay.
So
Thank you.
we've had a small cities grant that essentially it's they're HUD funds that are passed through the state, and those funds are then used for housing improvements, for certain eligible improvements to income eligible individuals for improvements to their house, like roofs and furnace and windows, that sort of thing. And those are interest free, and then when the house changes title, the funds come back to the town. So we then can either use those funds on another house, and it's sort of a revolving interest free program, or there's certain other eligible activities that we can use the program income for. It's called program income when it returns back to us, and that's one of those is for improvements to a senior center, or use in a senior center. So that's
Questions on that? No? Any other comments or questions?
Question. Wait.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No,
but
it's okay.
if we use the program to staff for future programming, we use it for the ramp that they're
You
they're
could.
looking for?
a possibility.
No, it's
I know
good.
that
It is a
they need one.
possibility.
And it's clearly, this is so needed there. It's
yeah.
just-
Yes.
oh, and they've been waiting a while. It took a while to get this to come to us, so here we go. Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed, it's unanimous. Thank you so much. Item 6, Administrative Officers, Director of Finances report.
Thank you.
I didn't
So
skip anything, right?
this is our report through October, and it's much better than last month's report. And that's a budgetary deficit of about $20,000, and so that brings our fund balance to just under $5 million projected for the end of the year. Interest income, as we indicated last year, is generating a surplus of about $50,000. The Board of Education, as Superintendent indicated earlier, there's a deficit of $160,000 projected at the end of the year. That is now included in this analysis. Amity is going to return $553,000 in surplus funds to us this year. So this projection reserves $220,000 of that for next year's budget, which is the amount in this year's budget, and $332,000 of the remainder would go into this current year as an unbudgeted revenue. So that can go to offset the the deficits that we have, including the Board of Ed and the state, which I want to get to. There's a separate handout on the state, which is at the end of this report. I felt it was better just to do a separate handout, and it's just a little spreadsheet like this, and it just outlines the grants and the impact on the final state budget for FY18 had on our operations, and the state actual is a variance of or deficit of $242,000 from our budget. So we will receive $242,000 less than we had budgeted, which is much improved from the $900,000 which was originally discussed.
Could you remind me what LOCIP is?
LOCIP is
we
a
talked
local
about this in-
local capital improvement program, and we
Okay.
use those funds to offset our paving budget.
Okay.
So last year it was cut, and we didn't find out, of course, until after we went through the paving program. So but this year it was almost doubled. So we would have to use that for last year's. Because this year we have $65,000 in the budget.
Any other questions?
If you have any questions on any of these grants, I'd be happy to answer them. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's a very helpful spreadsheet. I
Yeah,
found it easy.
because there's a lot of questions and confusion about
Where's it going?
Thank
Right.
you. It was a nice.
Right.
It was a nice to see it all laid out.
so it's in one.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay.
we move on to, we're done with monthly report, right? So we're
Yeah,
gonna
unless there's
move
any
on.
questions, yeah.
Okay, yep, okay. Move on to funding requests. And you have in your packet a copy at the beginning of the contingency and where we are. And the first funding request, it's a line item transfer. Item number 1718-05 in the amount of $9,329.92.
This is transfers for a replacement of a animal control vehicle, which we had most of the funds for, but we had not budgeted enough in the budget process. So it's a 2005 Ford Explorer they currently have, and the purchase is for a 2018 Ford Expedition. And the funds are coming from projects that have been completed. So these are capital projects that were completed and have funds remaining, so the request is to reappropriate those for a different purpose.
This is off a state bid?
It's coming later in the agenda, but
Okay,
yes,
yep,
it's a
okay.
purchase off state contract.
Should we talk about that first, or should we do the
You can do it in either order.
transfer?
doesn't
What's your
matter.
pleasure? Yes? Want to wait?
Fine with the way it is.
Okay, so I will ask for a motion to approve line item transfer number 1718-05 in the amount of $9,329.92. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then we have another line item transfer number 1718-06 in the amount of $4,746.15.
This is a purchase, again, this was an issue where the budget fell short of the price of vehicles. There was a miscommunication there, which had happened in the budget process, and this is for the purchase of 2 police vehicles, which was actually approved in the budget. So there was just a shortfall in the budget amount.
The money's coming out of,
Again, it's from prior purchases from some of those radios that you
Okay.
indicated they had purchased.
communications.
From their budget, from the police?
From the
budget?
police capital budget, correct.
Why is the money in
There was a project that had been completed, with some purchasing. And so when you do estimate a budget and there's some funds remaining, this reappropriates those funds for that purpose.
55,000?
5,500.
Or it's
It
47.
says
47.
55,000. I have that highlighted.
Oh, it should be 50, that's a typo.
Okay, I glanced over.
I highlighted it and circled
No,
it.
the
I said, well, I'll just
55,000
wait and
is
see what
the
happens.
amount that was
Curious how that
budgeted.
was
You said you
set.
need
The
four.
The 55,000 is the amount that was budgeted.
And the 47,
Okay,
46 is what you
the
It's
need.
47,
Correct.
right,
Right,
47, 46.15.
right.
So it's a $60,000
That's
unit
correct. Yeah,
for, and that's
There's 2 of them.
That's off the stake. Oh, for 2.
yeah.
Yeah, I know, huh?
Really nice.
Yeah, I do remember approving 2 vehicles, so.
Thank you. But it's
Okay.
still off state contract. if I
Correct.
remember correctly.
Yeah.
So a motion, line item, approval of line item transfer number 1718-06 in the amount of $4,746.15. Is there a second? Thank you. Any other discussion, questions? In favor? I think that's it for funding
That's it.
requests.
Yep.
Okay. We move on to tax refunds. And let's see, this month there were no personal property refunds, there were no real estate refunds. Motor vehicle refunds are a total of $5,239.30. Everything's listed in your packet. I would entertain a motion that we refund property taxes in the amount of $5,239.30. Is there a second? Oh, okay, entertain a motion. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other questions, discussions? All in favor? Thank you. Let's see. Bid award for Ice Be Gone. I'll turn this one over to Tony.
So, every year when we, we have 2 products we use for our road treatment. First is regular salt, which is primarily used, and that we went out to bid and we received pricing, I think it was last month.
Yes.
But there's Morton Salt makes this Ice Be Gone, which is a treated salt, which we have historically used on, as Warren indicates, at certain times, particularly when the the temperature's too low for regular salt to work properly. So Morton Salt is the only one that makes this particular product. So this is a sole source bid award, and we've used it, and the price has been stable the last several years. We've used this with great success the past few years. That's what this is.
So at this time,
Where is this? This is in, again, budgeted item?
Yes, it's in the budget. This is a purchasing
Just,
issue. Correct.
so Warren is requesting a bid waiver to acquire the seasonal start of treated salt by awarding service to Morton Salt Incorporated. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you. Just for a bid waiver, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Do I need to talk about the quote for 82.06
You could, if
per
you want to
ton?
mention it.
Okay.
Sure.
The quote is for $82.06 per ton, and a typical season start is 600 tons of product that equals $49,236. Except that friendly.
But we're just doing the bid waiver.
Just the waiver,
Right.
yeah. It's already
I'll
been
move-
budgeted.
I'll
and
move,
approved.
bid waiver for purchase of the ice beam
Okay. Thank you.
as per Warren's memo.
Is there a second? Thank you, Joe. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor? Thank you. I think we've gone through item 6E.
No.
And item 6F, it was a memo from,
This is a bid waiver for the animal control vehicle.
Right.
Right.
do we
It's,
have to do the bid waiver?
yes,
as well?
so now you
Okay.
have to
After we vote
do a
to
bid
buy it.
waiver to purchase the vehicle off state contract
Okay.
for
So-
36,826.
So I would entertain a motion to approve a bid waiver for the purchase of a 2018 Ford Expedition as a vehicle replacement for animal control. The cost is $36,826.
So,
Is there a second? Thank you, Joe. Any other questions or discussions on this? All in favor?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
That's it.
No other, okay. Move on to item 7, which is the Personnel Committee report. We had a quick meeting this morning, the Personnel Committee. What, did I skip something?
No,
No?
no, the Personnel Committee report
Is number 7.
is number 7.
oh, looking at the
Oh,
draft.
thank
I know.
goodness, I thought I
Look
skipped
at
something
that.
else.
Sorry, you changed it.
Yeah.
Phew,
And,
okay.
and the board doesn't have any paper on that.
Okay,
So,
alrighty. Personnel Committee meeting,
just happened
we met
this morning.
It happened this morning at 10:30. Was it 10:30? No, 11:30, because I had to go to a funeral. We decided to handle one item. It was David Lober, myself, and Terry Schatz. And at this point, there was one item that was sort of time pressed, and do you want to describe it, or do you
Sure.
want me to do
I
it?
can do
Okay,
it.
okay,
Yeah.
sure. I have the motion and everything ready to go, but, okay, thank you.
So last winter, we reorganized Public Works, and basically what we had done was Adam was promoted to the foreman position that had been vacant due to a retirement. He was the Parks Director at that time. So at that time, we had Public Works Director, which was Warren. We had a working crew foreman and Adam, the Parks Director. So we had sort of 3 supervisors. And we promoted Adam to working crew foreman and then eliminated the Parks Director position and essentially combined the Parks Department with the Public Works Department. So that was saved the town net about $80,000. And at the time, we then promoted an existing department member, Keith Noyes, to a crew leader. And the idea was to see how this worked and review it in 6 months. And so we're here. It's been a little more than 6 months, but it's working very well. And so the crew leader part was a sort of a wait and see. We did a stipend at that time to see if it would work, and see how the supervision would work, and it's been going very well. So the proposal is to make that crew leader a permanent position and to increase his salary by $1.50 an hour.
Any of you guys have anything to add this morning? Any Any other questions from any of the members of the board? So I'll make a motion that we appoint Keith Noyes to the permanent position of crew leader at Public Works, including the hourly rate increase of $1.50 per hour. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussions? All in favor? Thank you. I'm going to look carefully, not going to mess around. Item 8, Assistant Administrative Officer's Report. Thank you, Sheila.
Now I'm going to keep it very brief. So we are indeed coming off a very busy month. Our Fallapalooza plus the last few events just early in November. I just want to let people know that you can view photos for many of these events at our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WoodbridgeCT. That is our official page. Recent postings there in social media are boosting the activity at Facebook, and there's several ways to measure the communications effectiveness of what we're doing on Facebook. Things like page view, month over month, we were up 46% over the previous month, for example. And we can see that the views are coming from two primary sources. We can see them coming from within Facebook, where other people are posting the events. And we can also see that they're coming from the town website. So when we put the Fallapalooza page at the town website, and then we put out the signs that said, go there to get the information, people would click through our website to the Facebook to see what happened. So this is an example of we put out the information and we can track and see how it's doing. So there's a few other things, followers and likes, page likes, which have different definitions, and I'm not going to bore you with those, but that's just to let you know there are some benchmarks that we're following, because as we roll out the website updates that we spoke of at the last month's meeting, we're going to keep track and see how this improves our overall communication as we go forward. The website updates specifically to the homepage and some of the interior pages, they're due to come online within the next week or so. And again, we were going to just let them happen, and then you will all start seeing them. We're not going to make a big fanfare announcement of those. The other thing I want to note for you is that the company that hosts our website, which is called Civic Plus, has a new module called Civic Clerk that they've just announced. Karen Crosby, myself, and Pua Ford all watched a webinar on this. It's got some great new technology. They essentially bought another company and now they're offering the product. There are tools for streamlining the creation of agendas and minutes, allowing easy upload of PDF documents. And the really interesting thing is potentially hosting video of the meeting so that you could do what's called an interactive agenda and minutes. You could be reading the minutes of the meeting and you could click the item and the piece of video would come up for the item you clicked. All within our website system if we decide to go with that module, so we're in the process of evaluating that. All of these tools would be aimed at sharing meeting content with both board members, because we could keep some of the attachments that are meant to be just for board members, keep those private for your login, your purposes, so we don't have to email you all these documents. But then we can also provide an opening for citizens, so it increases transparency and it's essentially instant access to the public information that would be available there. So it would also increase staff efficiency and reduce paper use, which is a sustainability goal. So stay tuned, we're going to explore that and we'll come back to you when we know more.
Sheila, was that Facebook or was that the website?
That new tool is the website.
Website, thank you.
And going forward, the idea is to use the website to send most of our communication and then from there link into Facebook to drive more people to look at the website.
Thank you.
You want to keep your content on your website where you fully control it. We all know we don't control Facebook. And we don't want to control Facebook, Twitter, all those things. So we want to be web-centered in our communication.
That's kind of what I asked. Thank you.
So then I just give you a couple of updates on a couple of other things. Last month we talked about A-frame sign approval process. It's a very interesting process. I've begun by gathering some information from the DOT District 3 garage regarding those state road intersections. I also got information and guidance from our zoning office and taking a look at where our current regulations are, and then I'll be working with our town attorney to see where we want to go with this, and I'm going to have more for you on that as soon as we have that figured out. I want to highlight the Town Veterans Day ceremony. I know Bob Gilbert mentioned the one at Beecher. There's also one happening at, usually in the town center. We too have moved ours indoors because it's going to be awfully cold. So Town Center Gym this Friday at 11 a.m. And then lastly, I just want to draw your attention to the invitation that everyone received here. This is our annual Boards and Commission holiday party. It's happening on December 14th. It's our opportunity to thank our Board and Commission volunteers for all the work they do throughout the year. I hope you can attend. You can please RSVP to me whenever you're able to do that. That would be great. And this invitation will be going out by email to all Board and Commission members tomorrow. That's my report.
You can bring a guest.
Yes, you can bring a guest. There's all the details there.
Right.
And we'll hopefully have lots of guests and we'll have a nice party.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Alrighty, now we move on. I'm not going to skip anybody. Town Council's report. Yep.
Very, very brief. At the last meeting, the board approved a settlement on a tax assessment appeal for property at Lois Drive. I said I would have the stipulation before we filed it. The stipulation is here. Anybody wants to look at it, you can look at it at the end of the meeting. The second thing is just a short report on the ordinance committee. The ordinance committee met on Thursday. We were reviewing a couple of issues. One is a proposed fracking ordinance for the town, which would prohibit certain materials from being allowed into Woodbridge. We're also in line with that. We're setting up a meeting with the commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection to come to the ordinance committee, to come and meet with us to talk about what his opinion is on those kind of ordinances. We also reviewed, at the request of a resident, possible modifications to the blight ordinance. We're asking for a report from Terry Gilbertson on those issues, and we should have that by the next ordinance committee meeting. And I think that's it. Basically, that's what we did. And that's my report.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's get in here. Item 10, resignations. You have in your packet a resignation from Pennell Hamilton. He's going to resign from the Recreation Commission. And I tried to reach out. I've called him a couple times. I haven't heard back. But he was a valued member of the Rec Commission, and I'm sorry to see him leave. We can accept this with regret. And that. And then Claire Coleman, as you know, we appointed her to the Woodbridge Board of Education last month, so she was required to resign from the Board of Assessment Appeals, which I think is an elected position. So we will not. So we haven't found a replacement yet for that, but her resignation letter is in our packet. And now we move on to item 11, which is appointments, and this is to replace Pennell Hamilton. And the appointment is for the Rec Commission to June 30th, 2019. We have a letter from a gentleman in our packet named Smith Mowry. And are there any nominations for Recreation Commission
I'd like to
position?
nominate Smith Mowry.
I'll second that.
Okay.
The letter is self-explanatory. He has extensive experience in youth athletic programs and different recreation programs, and has a lot to offer.
Wonderful. I got a telephone call from Mr. Taddy recommending him, and I thought, okay, that's a positive. Anyway, a couple other folks also recommended him. So we have a second, I think.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. So he'll get the appropriate letter. And our next appointment, we received a letter, it's in your packet, from our town clerk, Stephanie Charleglio. She wanted to ask us to appoint Assistant Town Clerk part-time Cindy Pecca in order for her to be a signer on all of our official documents in the office, such as land records, vital statistics, certifications, etc. I guess this is required for her to be able to do that. And she's been in the office a while, and she's now eligible for this. So I would ask for a appointment. Motion to appoint Cindy Pecca as Assistant Town Clerk part-time. Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Any questions about this? All in favor? Thank you very much. And just also as a point of information, excuse me, we have the ad hoc sustainability committee that's been meeting on a regular basis and very busy. And there's another member who's come forward, and I guess she met John Gorham, and she's very excited to join, and he was excited. So this appointment does not require any vote tonight, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to appoint her. She's Carissa Vega. She's a parent to a young Beecher student and is currently pursuing a master's degree in sustainable and resilient communities, right up her alley. And she works as an educational consultant and bilingual speech-language pathologist for several community organizations in the area. And I do think she will be a wonderful addition to the committee and is eager to dive in. So I just wanted to let you know about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have her resume. If anybody's interested, I can send it out. And now moving on to the town clerk's report. I would entertain a motion to accept the 2 documents from the town clerk in our packet. Is there a second? I'll second it. Oh, okay. Thank you. And any questions, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. And minutes, we have in your packet the Board of Selectmen regular meeting of October 11th, 2017. Minutes, I will make a motion that we approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Anybody have any additions, changes, corrections?
Do you?
No, I read them. I haven't stopped doing that. Thanks, Joe. Okay, we've motioned and seconded. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And just in correspondence, I will note that we have several letters that I just thought, I'm trying to keep you guys updated on when we get letters from people, and it seems that most of them are about the dog park, and I just want you to have copy of everything that comes in. We send it right out to you, so they're in your packet. And anybody have anything else? Okay.
With regard to that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, David.
Joe, go, Mika.
In regard to the correspondence, I mean,
Yeah.
I've only been on the board a short time, but this is significantly more than anything I've seen on any of the boards and
I haven't seen
commissions
this many.
in regards.
8 years.
The
Yeah.
majority, obviously, the vast majority of them being in favor of the having a dog park in
Having a
Woodbridge.
dog park, right, yeah.
So-
Okay, thank you.
So where are we with the dog?
It's sitting with Coopop, and I actually have a meeting with Bonnie Blake next week to talk.
You and I have to discuss that.
Oh, okay. To get caught up on where they are with it and when they're going to bring it to the Board of Selectmen. I thought it would be important to let her know that we've heard from several folks about other places, and I wanted her to explore those as well, so that they do their due diligence before they come to the Board of Selectmen. So I don't have any date yet. They're still, and I think they haven't even finished with Coopop yet. Is that correct? I don't know.
So they're at Coopop as a underbody to this body, so
Right.
Coopop
Right.
would then,
They're advisory only.
right, I
Yep.
understand, but they
Yeah.
would maybe move to send it to us or not recommend it
Right.
to us, but
Right.
if they're gonna explore other locations before they finalize their presentation, they would go back to Coopop if they were looking at a different location. I'm
That
just
would
trying to
make
get the
sense to me,
process
yeah,
right. That would-
yeah.
That's up to the board. If you
Right.
want us to send it back, then it's up to you guys.
Right.
They would also
Well-
have to go to TPZ, correct? Like they did initially?
If they,
or-
if they decide to choose a
Choose a
different
different location, yeah.
venue, yes, or
Right.
place for it, yeah. Because right now, all they have is the approval of Fitzgerald.
Otherwise, if it remains pretty much the same, they're just gonna come here and present it.
I'll entertain a motion to.
David,
Oh, David, I forgot about you, sorry. I'm rushing through this.
I had 2 things. I'd like to know the status of the survey request.
Excuse me, status of what?
The survey
The survey.
Just asked about that this morning.
with Bordeaux.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and Sheila was gonna be in touch.
When we discussed timing of the survey itself, we didn't want it to kind of get lost in the holiday hubbub. So we were thinking it should go out in January. So the idea is to get it to you to look at in December, in advance of your December meeting, so that you have a chance to discuss it in December, and of course it has to be approved by,
Is it completed?
no, it's not,
Okay.
yeah, it's in draft form.
I haven't seen anything, so I can say that. And the other thing?
The other thing is I would like to consider revisiting the leash law at our next meeting.
That's actually an ordinance,
It's an ordinance.
correct? So
We
we
just-
have
we
to
just passed
be,
it a few
It has
months
to
ago.
go to
Right.
ordinance.
so we have to go to the
Ordinance,
ordinance
okay.
committee. So we can put that, we can,
I don't
you
have a
want to come
problem.
to the next ordinance
You could.
committee meeting?
When
and-
will that be?
I don't know.
We're trying to set one up now but it'll be in December.
It'll be December.
Mhm. So we can let you know and you can come and talk about why. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Motion made?
Thank you, Mikas. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of adjourning?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.